Recently, Alex Hutchinson, creative director for Google Stadia, posted a few tweets about how game developers and publishers could require a license to stream or create content based on their games, the same way the music industry requires a licensing to use their music. Now, there's a plethora of reasons of why publishers and developers should never do this. And for example, if a game relies on being a multiplayer-based game, it is typically best for that game to have a community. And what better way to show that community than by seeing other people play the game? Of course, we also have to look at a single-player story-driven games, which for some games already do have some protection put in place. There have been a few games in recent past that would block players from showing cutscenes in full, unedited. So in a sense, developers and publishers have already been doing this, more so to prevent spoilers than anything else. However, there's a far more dangerous approach. If you ever followed any big-name video game critics online, you would most likely have heard of a few of them getting copyright striked and having their videos taken down by developers. One of the more recent examples is of Eroctic Gaming and Battlestate Games. BSG develops Escape from Tarkov, and Eroctic for years has been covering the game, including showing bugs, glitches, and other exploits for the developers to fix. One day, one of the devs or someone within the company grew a vendetta against Eroctic and copyright striked a large amount of his videos. Not only does this mean that these videos that show the game's flaws were removed, but the entire channel was in jeopardy of being completely shut down. As someone who wants to keep people informed, including a license to show gameplay is also a way to keep people blind. Blind from the mediocrity or from any flaws a game may have. Yes, developers and publishers have the right to protect their games, more so from misinformation. The question becomes, who becomes the judge of that information? What if what the individual is experiencing is actually in the game? Now, it is still possible to review games without showing true gameplay, but if the developers and publishers want to keep others silent about this, they can strike the video down and consider it harassment or straight-out lies. This is of course harder to prove the intent of the individual when the said individual is unable to show the very thing they're talking about. Imagine paying a license to cover a game, only to get punished for it by the same company. So what about movies or TV shows? Well, as Sid Alpha has said, shows and movies are static content, whereas with video games, you're controlling the character and the actions. Regardless how similar a walkthrough may be, there's no clear-cut specific way the game is meant to be played. Alongside that, there's typically trailers and extra content that is readily available online. It's very rare, if ever, for a video to be taken down strictly because of still images. When we talk about video games, sometimes the issues can't be summed up with a few images and will require actual gameplay. Although some game trailers do show glimpses of gameplay, a lot of your AAA games create full CGI or live-action cutscenes and call it a trailer. Scenes that may never actually be used in a game. Scenes showing some sort of mechanic or action that isn't actually a part of the gameplay itself. But how are we supposed to know that if we never actually see gameplay? The system of requiring a license to stream or record is absurd, and it hurts the industry far more than it helps. Any amount of peace these companies gained from doing so will be immediately replaced by the backlash from its consumers. Let's not pretend that these game companies are losing money. And to go further with that, if the large companies do this, so will small game creators who intentionally make bad games to steal money from their customers. All in all, there's far more to lose than there is to gain. This is why it's far better to give review copies of the game, actually create a good product, and own and fix your own mistakes, rather than keep your potential customers in the dark. I am Mr. Rain, and I will see you guys next time.